Hello everybody, and welcome to this lovely edition of I Don't Know What I'm Doing Game Dev. Demo Combat Alpha. We're going in a game content, a combat BP, combat UMG. Do you know what? I will leave the combat menu, I will leave up. The initiative container, I will delete. One or more widgets are in use in the graph. Do you want to delete them? Yeah. Where are they in use in the graph? I think that's all we have to do, right? Unresolved compiler editor. Confirm UMG confirm placement. Really? Cannot find a function named populate initiative in UMG combat C. Yeah, that would be a problem, wouldn't it? Yeah, you can't do that. Good. Thanks for telling me. Okay, so now that's gone. It runs fine. Right. And we already know that the initiative lists are being sorted. How are the initiative lists going to be handled, by the way? That's a huge, alright, because that's what I'm going to be working on now, seeing as how we scrapped the UI, and the UI is gone. So we need to really work out how the initiative list is going to be handled on the back end. On the front end, I don't really care at this point. I honestly do not care. So the initiative list only needs to get sorted. This is complicated because so thinking ahead, I know this is a curse. Thinking ahead, if there's a skill which increases this guy's or decreases this guy's turn time, right? Okay, let's say this is Happy Dude. And there's 3 people in the combat, right? So this is going to be Happy Dude again, and this is going to be Happy Dude again, right? So if he previews a skill, so just imagine that this is the array. So we have 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 0. This isn't an array. This is a singular. This is a singular thing, right? So that's what's gonna happen, right? So okay, so the 0 gets moved into a singular actor object reference variable cur cur. So at the beginning of combat start, cur is equal to initiative alpha 0 . So we need a function to move an object in an array, right? So we need a function to move screaming. So we need a function to move an index to another index. Because if we have an array like this, we take, say they're all going to be unique entries, right? So we have A, B, C, and D. If we want to move C to A, big slam. What kind of a move is going to be as well? Is it going to be a ripple down? Is it going to be a ripple up? I think it depends, right? So if we're moving, say, index 2, right? We'll move index 2 to if we're moving index 2 up, we want index 1 to go down. We want index 0 to stay where it is. If we're moving index 2 down, does that work? If it's getting slower, then index 3 is probably going to get faster. But it's it depends, doesn't it, on the value of D, right? So D is an integer, right? D is D isn't an integer, but D represents an actual object reference with an integer value that is bigger, smaller, bigger, smaller, bigger than C. So if C is getting bigger, we have to check if that is going to be bigger than D before we move it. So actually, it's not this at all. We don't need this at all. This is incorrect. We do need that, but we don't need that. I know I'm not making a lot of sense, but this is it. I have been live for a very long time. I realized that. I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. Not actually sorry. It is what it is. So this coffee is nicer than yesterday's coffee, but it does have milk and sugar and water in it. And it was also brewed differently. It's still a bit bitter. I don't know. I don't know. It tastes like coffee. I think just drinking it black neat was maybe a mistake. Maybe it's not the kind of coffee that allows that. Anyway, what am I talking about? Yes. So really, we don't want to change the actual arrays ever until the end of the turn, right? At the end of the turn, we will update the actual arrays with the actual values of the coming turns. Will we? Won't we? How does this? For God's sake. I just think there's a little bit of a lack of understanding what I need to actually do here. So I can't sort the arrays anymore. I can sort the array at the very start of the game, at the very start of the combat, but I cannot sort the arrays after that. Or can I? Or can I? hold on a second. So we're doing this currently with 3 arrays, which I think is a bit gratuitous. I want to kind of do it with 1 array. So bear with me, right? And that's also not going to work either. Never mind. Ignore me. Don't bear with me. So I figured. I don't know what I figured. Is it even worth doing this? So instead, if this was if this was 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, and instead we just move through the array, right? We go, it's 0's turn, it's 1's turn, it's 2's turn. Right, we just go through the index of the array instead of moving the array and shuffling the array, because that's memory access. We don't want to do that. This is just reading. Reading is good. Reading is good, but why? How is this going to work? So if someone's initiative time changes, right? If someone's turn time changes, this is really fucking complicated. How do people even make turn-based? How did Square Enix on their last fucking $4 make Final Fantasy 1? What the fuck? This is bullshit. Anyway, enough. Apart from that, apart from that, so if you do something in your turn which changes someone else's initiative time, yeah, I think actually it might be helpful to have this all in one array, but it would be very, very hard to do. How would you do that? Because it would be very cool to be able to delay someone past the round timer, right? You understand what I'm saying? So like you have A, B, and C, right? So if A casts haste, I don't know. That's a simple one. You cast haste on his buddy, and he casts slow on the enemy, right? I don't know how you do that in one turn, but if there was the scenario where this would happen, maybe there's more than one other player. Just bear with me. It's theoretical, right? So if this guy casts haste on this guy and slow on this guy's going to get bumped up, right? Which is automatically going to bump this guy down. And then this guy's going to get bumped down again below this guy's turn again. So you'll have 3 turns in a row. Right? Maybe I'm just not understanding how a turn timer works. Maybe I'm just not understanding how any of this actually fucking works. So this is very stressful for me. I hope you understand that. I hope you appreciate that. This is stressful. but it's a nice kind of stressful, I think. Maybe. I don't know. So what we do at the beginning is we get an array of all the people, and then we have 2 copies of that array, which represent the projected initiative for coming rounds, right? And this theoretically would work fine for like a Dragon Quest style of combat, where in every round every player gets a chance to go, and it's just who's the fastest who gets to go first, basically, right? There's no, I take that back wholly. I take that back wholeheartedly. I remember fighting the spider when we had 2 full party rounds before the spider could attack. So I don't know what's going on there, and I need an actual engine programmer. Maybe I just need to hire someone to do this for me, but I don't have any money, so that's the crunch, isn't it? Why don't you hire someone to do something? 'Cause I'm poor. Oh. So I find it easier to think about as a human, right? There being abstract actors with an abstract turn time and a global turn counter, right? So you have this guy who's got like a 7, and you have this guy who's got like a 4, and you have this guy who's got like a 62, and then you got some enemies maybe she's got like a 3 and a 29. I don't know. And then you have, a global. I want to do it as bar. I want to do it as a circle, right? So from here to 4, right? Or 3 rather. Here to 3, the turn times, adjusted to what? 4, 1, 59, y, 26, 0. This guy's hit 0, so he gets a turn, right? And when he's had his turn, it goes back up to 3, right? So then it gets to 4. This guy's on 2. This guy's on 0. This guy's on 3. This guy's on 58. This guy's on 25. See, this makes sense to me, right? But this has a problem where if any 2 people have the same initiative, it's gonna be fucked up. And then if multiple people have the same initiative, how do you even decide who goes first? It would work completely fine for what? For something. But you see this guy's had 2 turns, and this guy's had 1 turn, and this guy's about to have his first turn. You see how this goes? this makes good sense to me, right? So if modulo t, if t modulo turn time is equal to 0, it's your turn now. Get it? So if the time that's passed is divisible by the time it takes for your turn to arrive, which actually means that this is wrong. So the timer actually resets your turn time into the next tick rather than the tick you took your turn. Does that make sense? That makes less sense. But also, if this is bound by tick, it's going to be real slow. Not because it's running on tick, but because tick runs at frame time, right? 60. And tick is dependent on how fast the game is running on your system, right? Tick will be slower if your game lags, or if your game is running at a lower frame rate, I think. Which is why vintage games have weird slowdown effects on different power grids. Anyway, this is how it's meant to work, right? This is the grippable theory of how it works. I'm just trying to condense it into something that's instantly accessible, basically with maths, right? And the turn times are about 1,000. They're between it's like 700 and 3,000. Which maybe that was an error in judgment on my behalf. I can't tell at this moment in time, and it's oh boy, is it stressful. So I don't know how I want to deal with this, you know? Because in this scenario here, if someone's turn time changes, right, it's irrespective of how the turn timer is timing things. It just happens regardless, because the turn timer will sweep the list of combatants and check each combatant per unit time, whatever, right? You know what I mean? I just want to try and cut out a real-time aspect to this, so there's no latency. So maybe I am taking things too fast. Did that make any sense? I'm taking things too fast. Anyway. Oh yeah, thanks for reminding me. It's gone. It's gone. I'm panicking. I took the back off my watch. I took the back off my watch to do something with it. I took the gasket out of the back of my watch. I put the gasket out of the back of my watch down on that. There it is. Woo! Got it. We're saved. Jesus Christ. Don't want to stress me out like that, man. We got it. It's fine. Now, how do I do this with arrays? So what if, hold up. What if the assignments for this array and this array were different, right? Now, hear me out. Right? So we go 1, 2, 3, I guess I don't know what I wrote here. It's meant to be 0, 1. Fuck out of here. So we do the first index, the second index, and the third index, which is 0, 1, and 2. Thank you. It's the 0th index, the first index and second index. In this example, right? We go through them. I'm guessing if anything. Yeah, no, that's fine. That's perfect. Yeah. So it's kind of perfect. It's kind of not perfect as well. Fuck. So I'm seeing so okay. So hear me out. If the guy who's going first has no, that doesn't work. So I was thinking you could add on a prospective adjustment to any future turn time, right? And then sort the array before you get to it, right? So that works for the array 2, right? That works for the array 3. It does not work for the current array. Because when you're in the current array, if the guy whose turn it is now is in index 1, okay, hear me out. They cast slow on themselves. That causes the array to be sorted. They are now in index 2. You see where I'm going with this? You see where I'm going with this? They will have made themselves slower, but they will have taken a second turn because of it. And the person in index 2 ostensibly will have their turn skipped. And it also means that you won't be able to bridge the gap between the two arrays, right? You won't be able to have this guy knocked down slower than this guy's second turn. Really what we want is like an open, like a singular open-ended tube. Right, so the person whose turn it is vanishes at the top, becomes... Well, it doesn't even have to be that. Does it get sorted every turn? That's a nightmare. That's a nightmare. Does it get sorted every turn? No. Do you put your next... You put your next... Your next initiative in sorted? Yes. Right. Ah. No. How'd you even access that? I wish there were array commands in Blueprint. I really do. Looking at numbers, you like numbers? Good. Good, Devro. These are numbers. I'm just wrestling. I'm wrestling with the code. I don't know how to do an initiative system. Also, welcome. How you doing? I don't know how to do initiative systems in turn-based stuff. Maybe I'm overcomplicating it. Maybe I'm making it too difficult. Maybe I'm making it more difficult than it needs to be. You tell me. You tell me about my turn-based combat game. Cause I'm staring at this page and I'm like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. What are we looking at? Couldn't you just use like an array? Yeah, I'm using an array. I'm using 3 arrays. But that doesn't work if the initiative time changes. So if your player character gets sped up or slowed down, they're going to change order in the initiative roster, potentially. Right? If you're all roughly the same kind of turn time, and your turn time gets drastically lengthened, you're going to get pushed down the list, right? But I don't know how to do that. You make a function to reorder the array that gets called when it's needed. I have a function to order the arrays. I have that function. But that doesn't help the array that we're in. So take for example you're in array 1, or you're in array position 0 in any kind of array system, right? And I'm okay. Maybe I just have to account for edge cases and weird stuff like this, but say you slow your turn time down. Maybe I'm thinking about it wrong. Maybe that does work. Does it work? So I was thinking that if you cast slow on yourself and it reordered the array and then called the next, hey Worm, how you doing? Welcome. This looks like a plan to you. This is frantic. This is a madman drawing on the wall, essentially. So if you cast something, if you were inflicted in your turn by something that reduces your turn time, and you got put, the array was sorted, and you got put into slot 1, and then the array, like the character selector, selected slot 1. I don't know why that says 2, please. It would be your turn again, but you'd have a slower turn time. But I was thinking it would be your next turn that you would be slowed in. You've just had your turn, so you'd have that much turn time added onto yourself, right? How would you do that? So this is a diagram of what I'd like. So like the person whose turn it is now, give me a different color. The person whose turn it is now would get purged, right, from the array. It would magically it would vanish. It would ascend to heaven. A happy turn, right? And then whoever turn it was next would become the new 0, right? So that's 0 minus 1, and that's 0. Now I don't want to do any weird stuff. And I know in Blueprint I can't have any unsigned ints, which would have been helpful. An unsigned int would have been incredibly helpful right here. Because a signed int is going to get weird once you go over the bound of its data, of its size, right? A signed int will be crazy, but an unsigned int will basically just be a self-contained modulo of itself, right? It just keeps looping up. The relative offset will be the same, maybe, but maybe we're not focusing on relative offsets, and maybe we're actually focusing on the actuality of the time. So the idea is, so in the UI, I feel like maybe I'm making problems for myself. In the UI, the idea is to have a turn timer, right? A visual descriptor of whose turn it is and whose turn it's going to be, right? So we have a big tab. This is turn guy. He's having his turn. He's happy. And then there's there's strips down here of subsequent turns, and this needs to be filled with strips to the point at which it goes off screen, because that looks cool, right? Which means that we need to have projected turn times. We need to have projected turn times. So if there's 8 people in the combat, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, that fits on perfectly with three arrays worth of turn predictions, right? And I feel like maybe I'm overcomplicating this already, instantly overcomplicating it, right? So at the start, everything is pure and simple, and all of the arrays are exactly the same because there's been everyone's initiative is the same as it is in all 3 turns, ostensibly. In your head, you need 2 arrays. Right. So maybe 4 arrays, right? Maybe 4 arrays. So we have the current array, right? So this is the array that we draw our data from. And then we have prediction 1, we have prediction 2, and we have overspill. So this is a it's not a problem per se, but it's a problem. Right? It's a problem. It's not a problem, but it's a problem. So this is fine. This is entirely fine. This would work, right? You have this and like whatever array A sorted right now, array B is new sorted order to be set to A after sorting. Maybe you don't see something you see. Yeah, you don't see something that I see. So if you have a turn time of 1,000, right? And another guy has a turn time of 1,124. That's a 4. And one guy has a turn time of 4,000. It's conceivable to think that these 2 guys would have maybe 2 or 3 turns in the space of this guy's 1 turn, right? And doing that with 4 separate arrays means you can't do cool stuff like delaying people's turn an extra turn away. So I was thinking, instead of having 4 arrays, we have one array with 4 sets of data. So you have, let's just do it with 2 guys, alpha and beta, right? So you have turn time 1000, turn time 1200. They're in order. And then you have alpha is turn time 2000. Beta is 2400, right? So you add their turn time onto the value of their turn time and you have it there. You can sort the whole array this way, but it also means that you will reach the integer bound pretty quickly. It's only 4 billion, right? Which I don't like. So this would require like active management of having to like reduce the turn time by the current turn time, and messy. I don't like it. And also sorting it would lead to that problem that I mentioned earlier of where you could take 2 turns in a row by slowing yourself down, unless there was some cool. Okay, there's a function to skip that. Okay, so if it's your turn, you're removed from the order, I guess. But there's two problems with this. One, maintaining it. Okay, yeah, auditing all the turn times is a nightmare, unless we have that just set on the player, on the actual character actor itself, and we can just use a get. They can just have 4. So like in you may know, you may not know, there's a tabletop role-playing game called Pathfinder. When you do an attack, on the player sheet it has modifiers for your to hit, and each one you have 3, and each one incrementally decreases your to hit. Anyway, that could be an idea. Like I guess the natural turn time, turn speed. This could be an idea. Does it need to go 4 deep? Yes. Maybe. Where's my cursor? Oh, it's on the wrong screen. What problem am I trying to solve? Hello, Vaxerol. I am trying to solve the problem of coming up with a fun and novel turn-based RPG combat systems turn-basing. Which integrates simply and effectively with a UI element and a combat mechanic of being able to speed up or delay turns based on actions you take. Devro is trying to help me. Worm Juice is appreciating from the sidelines. My brain is giving me the feeling like it has an idea of how to solve this, but it's not actually giving me the information on how to solve this, which is frustrating. And there's some slamming going on outside. Big slamming. So I don't really want to audit I don't want to touch. While taking a stream break, walking outside. Oh, okay. How long am I thinking about this by now? Since before Christmas. Since before Christmas. About 2.5, 3 months. Quarter of a year. Jesus. Forget I said that. It's the truth, but please forget I said that. So yeah, take this scenario, right? Okay, so it's Alpha's turn, right? Alpha's gonna cast slow on beta. Alpha's gonna add 1,000 onto beta's turn time. Beta's turn time gets audited to 2,200, and then the array gets sorted. So Alpha gets another turn, right? Alpha gets his 2,000 turn. Is that how we're doing it right now? I know this is a jarring change of scenery. I'm very sorry. And you probably... My face tracking? Is that still working? That's impressive. I'm impressed. Where is this being handled? Yes. Combat handler? Now you see the issue. Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm really bad. I'm just bad at explaining things, I know. But yeah, you've seen the issue. But I think the arrays are arrays of actors, they're not arrays of integers. So it's not impossible to change the value on the actor and then so we can directly affect the combat actors. And yeah, we can directly affect the combat actors. Make C++ sort initiative. Yeah, so good night, Yodaman. How come they're both here, Wormjuice and Devro? They hang out here sometimes, as do you, Yodaman. I'll see you later. Sleep well. But this is, yeah, so this, we take a stream break from Wormjuice. Oh, I see how it is. Sounds fair. This is a very slow function, and it's very sad that they didn't include the blueprint options for sorting arrays. Took a break from his duck yeeting balls onto a target thingy. I don't want to know. Add active to initiative, sort initiative. So what does sort initiative do? It's a function with an array in, right? That sounded wrong, but who cares? Can't I make the blueprint from code? You're sure C# has a sort function? What's C#? And yeah, C++ has a sort function. I can show you. I can show it's easy. It's easy. But it's right there. Standard sort my vector.begin, my vector.end. So any Oh, you meant C++. Good. Good. It does have a sort function. It's in standard. It's in the standard library. So any container, blueprints are code, don't they? You can open them and look into the code you think. Blueprints are code. You can try and open them and try and look into the code. If you double click on a blueprint node, it tries to open tries to open Visual Studio. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's just, maybe it's in the standard macros. Huh? But anyway, what was I doing? Initialize combat scene actors, initiative, projected initiative A, projected initiative B, temp initiative, clone initiative. So temp and clone are used for sorting initiatives. Initiative, projected initiative A, and projected initiative B are the 3 lists of the initiatives. That we use for quote-unquote gameplay. But I think we can probably change this. Do some refactoring. So what we do is initialize the variables, spawn deployment, spawn enemy AI, placement completed. When PCP, guess you can't use the standard library. Yeah, I don't want to know. But you can make a blueprint node which uses C++ code. But it's too early in development to be doing any actual coding. If it works, it works. We'll worry about how fast it works later. Anyway, so this is obviously a no-no. This is let me comment this out, because this is a no-no. I mean, it's a yes right now, but it's a no-no eventually. Change. And then this will be C++, sort initiative function, because it is slow, but it's not that slow. I'll show you how fast it is, in fact. Just for the non-believers who think sorting 8 things in a list using a blueprint is slow. It's less than a second. It's practically instant. So for now, it's fine to leave it as a blueprint code, but it will, yes, eventually C++ will probably be helpful if we're going through, if we're changing this from an array of 8 things to an array of 24 things. The more things you put into a sort function, the slower it gets, especially because this one, it's not the good sort. It's not the good sort kind, it's the bad sort kind. It's the you know, it just goes through and it has to check every element each time, so it gets it's asymptotic notation is like what, big O of n to the power n, or big O to the n to the power 2. It's exponential. So, or is it n factorial? I think it might be n factorial, because each size of n you add n values to it. Bubble sort. Look, it's been using a double for loop. No. I don't think it is a bubble sort, no. I think it's a selection sort. And I think I'm an idiot. Again, also, not the time for thinking about how efficient the sorting method is. I want to think about how this is going to work. Sorry, flashbang. I want to think about how the actual array is going to work. So, no, it's fine. It's fine, Vexerol. It's fine. I know you just trying to help. Bubble sort is slightly more efficient than selection sort. Yes, it's actually a lot more efficient, especially for small samples. Oh, but there's other sorting methods, and we can, again, it's there. It's been pinned to refactor into C++. It's been pinned to refactor into a different sorting method. It's not the issue we're dealing with. We're dealing with how do you make an initiative, and why does an initiative work? And also, how are we gonna traverse the initiative list? Insert an item at the given index into the array. That could be helpful. Is empties, not empties, valid index, last index, length, random array item. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Hold up. This has been in the engine. Hold up. This has been in the engine the whole time. No one told me. Sorry. Never asked. Random array item from stream. Remove index. Remove item. Resize. Reverse. Reverse the elements of an array. Set array elements. Shuffle. Swap array elements. Swaps the elements at the specified positions in the specified way. In the specified array. So, okay. Hear me out. While right, so while combat equals true, we have our initiative array. Index 0. This is a combat actor. And they will do take turn. and after take turn is finished, we'll audit the index. So what's audit index gonna do? We're gonna move index 0, and we're gonna remove index 0, and then we're gonna move all the other indexes up 1, right? Remove index. Remove item at the given index from the array. Does that automatically shuffle the array up to that index, or does it not? Print string. String append. I like coffee. If everyone above 1,000 turns, you can just subtract 1,000 to get the relative turn amounts, and you won't go too high then. Maybe. And donut. Blue. Let's change this one to green. So this might just do what we want it to do. We might not even have to think about it. It didn't really stay up for long, did it? You hear something? That does what we want it to do. That does do what we want it to do. Oh, this is gonna get so complicated. I like how take turn is just like, oh yeah, just do everything related to the turn, just do it. Never really considered what that consists of, or how complicated that could be. Just always. But that works. That works. Okay, so I want to put it in the Trello. I don't want to put it in the Trello. I'll just write it here. So remove index. Prunes the top. Prunes the top. It does what I described in that diagram. It does this. It does that. It's open-ended, open-bottomed because it's a T array. Yay! Good. So that's good. No. No. I've done it again. I've done it again. That's fine. While combat is true, and just go through the things. And always access index 0. But appending things to the bottom of the array is a problem. So that's a problem now. And also sorting the array, because the sorting algorithm deals only with the first integer. It doesn't. So like that we have an array and it's just actor references. There aren't any numbers here. It's just Brad, Gary, Sandra. It's just an actor object reference. There are no numbers in the array, so we can't actually sort them. Why are you like this? Oh, but instead of an array, no, we can't use something else instead of an array. I was gonna say we could use a map instead of an array, but we can't use a map instead of an array because a map doesn't have an index. The index is a key, and the key is the actor reference name, I guess, and that would be the same thing, and then it wouldn't be the same thing. Oh Lord. Why don't we just use the so I don't want to make a struct. Right. Okay. So if we modify the we can have a select node and we can modify the sort algorithm to pick an octave of its turn time. If it's turn 1, if it's turn 2, or if it's turn 3, 1k, 2k, 3k, and then selecting whose turn it is now. No, I don't know where I was going with it. I had a thought and now it's gone. Sorry. Fuck. So that's fine. I think. Right, yeah. We can't do that if we prune the top. We can't do that if we prune the top. Because if we prune the top, we can't use some kind of a modulo because the indices won't line up. Because we'll have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll have A, B, C, A, B, C, A, whatever. So 1000, 1012, 1362, 2000, 2024, 2724. Wow. Is that right? Yeah. 3000. Right? So you can see we've got our octaves here. Right? We've got our thingies. If we prune this becomes 0, this becomes 1, this becomes 2, this becomes 3, this becomes 4, and this becomes 5. So we can no longer use the index as a marker based on the number of people in the combat, right? So right, we can't use we can't use this. So instead we'd have to have some kind of a selector variable, right, which would rotate through the positions based on is less than so when the selector index is less than the combatants, so obviously the maximum value of the selector index will equal combatants minus 1. Every turn that has to be reassessed because the combatant may have died, may have been removed. Is this going somewhere? Is this looking promising? Is this looking like something we can use maybe? Right, so this is take turn, so this is part of index audit, right? So after A has taken their turn, nothing happens, nothing happens, nothing happens. something happens. Select index combatant is select index is incremented. If that's less than combatant, take turn. Again, select index is incremented. If that's less than combatants, take turn. And then select index is incremented. If that is less than combatants, which isn't, now it's not, we remove. Is there remove index as? No. Just singular indexes. Which is fine. So we remove 0, the 0 index combatants -1 times. No, combatants times. Yeah, because there's three combatants. The index will be 2, but we're removing an index a number of times, right? Why is it so difficult? Why is this so hard to think about? I feel like I'm doing this the stupid way as well. I feel like there's like an instant, there's like a 2-step way to do this. This shouldn't be a problem, but it is somehow. Yeah, no, this doesn't work. We can't do that. Because the actors are sorted based on the initiative number. You can't just pick the index of the actor that's going to be in a position. This is so fucking stupid. The only way to do it really is to do it as multiple individual arrays and then combine them afterwards. Okay. And that's if we're storing the data on the player, right? This is gonna be so we got to edit combat actor to have combat actor. Here we go. What? Derive turn time from agility. Each time you add to someone's turn, are you sorting the array? Like by swapping until you are greater or less than, depending on if you add or subtract. What? Each time you add to someone's turn, are you sorting the array? Like by swapping until you are greater or less than, depending on if you add or subtract. What? At the moment, I'm not doing anything. That's what we're about to do now. Yeah, okay. that all right? This might actually work. No, no, no. This might actually be perfectly, completely fine. Collapse the macro. Ooh. Does that have? Hold on. Yes. Oops. There we go. So I was leaving out the option that there would be a turn 1 adjustment. There could be. I think it's mostly just keeping track of whose turn it is and how fast they're going. I just don't. I'm not sure this is gonna help. Because where's my paint? Again. This only goes so far, right? This doesn't actually solve the problem I thought it was solving, because I wrote numbers here, right? We have to ignore those numbers. They aren't part of the array. They aren't how the array is sorted, and they aren't the information the array is giving us. The array is giving us these. We can get these numbers from these. The array is giving us this object. And now I've hard-coded it to load the octaves. The turn offset per turn octave, right? So if it's in the roster at turn 2, it has an offset here. If we were to go through the top 3 with their offsets, whatever, they're non-offsets, we went through those and then we pruned them. Right? And then we pruned them. And we bring these up to here. And we add another one onto the bottom. And we sort it. It's going to sort the first 3 based on the first octave, not the second octave, which they were sorted on. And it can't add the first 3 at the bottom because we don't deal with a 4th octave, or we don't deal with a 5th octave, I guess, because the 4th octave would have moved up, and the octave at the bottom of the roster would be the 1st, so we can't sort it. So the actual turn order, the actual explicit turn order that we're going to be using cannot be sorted if it loops, right? Because the first time you move the top stuff off, put it onto the bottom, you're using the top offset, but you're using the 4th octave, right? So maybe we need to disconnect the two from each other. So the octave is the bulk addition of the time, and the offset is the adjustment, right? So the offset of okay. So that's just return time octave. It doesn't do that. It does do that. It doesn't do that. So this one was right. In fact, we're going to change these to multiplies. In fact, we'll put that through a multiply as well. Why not? Waste that CPU power. Oh, right. Okay. collapse the macro. Oh. Okay, so now we have a function. Just bear with me, yeah? So now we have a function which will allow us to create an adjusted turn time for a given actor reference. Yeah, this is really dry. And this is like the least interesting. My coffee is cold. I'm sorry you had to witness all of this. But now we have to be able to select which octave it is. Which octave it is. And which offset it is. And the offset is going to be a rolling counter, right? The offset has to be a rolling counter based on how we progress through the array. The octave is going to be a simple selector based on where we are in the array, right? So we start off with the offset 0. Right? We start out with offset 0, and we do offset 1, offset 2, offset 3. And then we're back to offset 0, and then we're back to offset 2, and offset 3, and offset 0, and offset 2, and offset. You get it, right? Turn adjustment index is an integer. This is gonna work, right? So this will equal 0 if last index is smaller than if the last index of temp initiative is smaller than the last index combat scene actors. So 0. Yes, because this is an index. So if this is greater than that, we're on. So if this has 3 in it and this is 4, this is number 4. We're into the second octave of dudes. That's fine. So if it's greater than that, if it's greater than that, times 2. And if it's greater than that times, thank you for pointing that one out, 3. Times by 1, Boolean 1 is true, times 1 is 1, times 0 is 0, would you believe? Add that all together. And if it's greater than the last index, but smaller than or equal to last index times 2, we're in the second octave, so that's octave index 1. Yeah, that works out nice and logically. So we're going to change this to a macro. Collapse the macro. Good, doesn't have any outputs. This is and we'll do the other one here. combat scene actors last index I'm not going to put the modulo there. I'm going to add 1 to both of these. Well, that wasn't working. The escape key on this keyboard, I don't like where it is. Okay, I'm coming out, I'm saying it. I don't like where the escape key is on this keyboard. It's in the way, it's in the wrong place. I keep pressing it instead of 1. I don't know how that's possible, but it is. Anyway, so the last index of the temporary initiative moduloed by the last index of the combat scene actors. +1 to both. This should be fine, right? I know I gotta go to Paint to check this like every time, but so combat scene actors, let's say they're at 8, okay? So we're doing modulo 9. Yeah. And then temporary initiative actors, right? We'll have 0 to 8. Oh, 0 to 24 actually. No, 36. There's 8. It'll be 36 though? Or 35? It'll be 35, won't it? Will it? Won't it? Won't it? Will it? Yeah, because if the last index is 9, it's going to be 9 times 4, which is 36, minus 1 is 35. What's up? Video games is what's up. And basic arithmetic. So that's going to be 1 to 36. So that's going to be modulo 9, which is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 0. I'm creating a video game. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not an MMO. Why is it always an MMO with you kids? Making an MMO. It's like the hardest kind of game to make on planet Earth is an MMO. That looks right to me. So when this is false, we will have just input the last index. So we can, so true, you don't do anything. False, we are going to increment. We're going to get turn adjustment index, get increment int and range. Range. Four. I think that's right. I think that's right. And it's important we never reset that. Yeah, no, of course. You want to... What do you mean, no? Output pin type integer is not compatible with input type of float on int times float generated from expanding int times float. Int times float generated from expanding octave index selector. Hi. What? Error. You met a game developer yesterday. The two most popular engines are Unity and Unreal. Yeah, sure, why not? Swag, 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 swag. Yeah, no. What am I doing? I I got distracted by this, so I can't actually show you the game I'm making until I fix this error. Apparently, multiplication a times b. For some reason, compiler error, failed building connection with convert float to integer, and int times float generated from expanding octet index. Select right here. This. But as you can see, this is an integer multiplied by a boolean. So I don't know what you're talking about. Idiot. Fatal errors. Well, I had no hand in the actual physical breaking of the Dragon Age, but yes, she spawned hair with a sword. It was very scary. It was very scary. I don't want to know. That Xbox One S is having trouble. And I don't know what to do here. Let's break that. Compile, and it's happy. And let's put that back in. Compile, and it's happy. Okay, so it was Unreal Engine just freaking out. Anyway, new friend. What's better? Spelled wrong. Spelled new. Okay. Wrong. Where's my demo level? I was there. I am the cursed video games. This is the video game I'm making. It's 3D, third person, voxel graphic, JRPG, and now I'm making one. Yeah, I did make a no-no with that code, didn't I? So this is looks like Minecraft. Mama, I'll reach out my monitor. I'm gonna get you. This looks way better than Minecraft. Look at the smooth animations. Look at the fact that there's no gravity. Does Minecraft have no gravity? Didn't think so. It's really funny how I spent all that time making sure that the glow on the ladders lined up perfectly with where the glow on the ladders should be. And you can't even really see it behind the flames. It's funny. It's funny to me that that's a thing. Oh! That's the frame rate. That's the frame rate. Voxel graphics will always carry the stereotype. Looks like Minecraft. True, 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 true. I was aiming for more of a Final Fantasy 1 kind of aesthetic, but you know what? Minecraft has grossed like a lot of money. So I can't complain if people think this looks like Minecraft and they want to indulge themselves in that fantasy. I won't stop them. They can give me all the money they want to. You think Minecraft has grossed more than Final Fantasy? Not over the entire life of Final Fantasy. No. But what about Roblox 79B Company? I'm not au fait with the Roblox legacy and lore. All I know is that there are a lot of people on the internet making like photorealistic clothing and costumes for Roblox characters, but they're not doing any geometry. It's all texture work. It's all like vertex manipulation on the Roblox character, which is essentially a cube slab man. So it looks super high fidelity, but it's also the shape of a cube slab man. It makes me laugh. I'm not sure it's meant to be funny. I think they're putting their best foot forward and doing honest work. after we guys make our own video games, how do we go about promoting it? Tainted Fate doesn't know anything about making video games. No offense, Mr. Tainted Fate. I offered a few times for him to join me to make video games together, but he said no both times. So what are we gonna do about promoting a video game? No idea. I just upload it to itch, and I hope that some people look at it, and then they don't. I think my best game has got like 36 downloads. My worst game has got 4 downloads. Although I did make a 3D Unreal Engine 4 ray traced match 4 game, which was stupid. It was basically an exercise in futility. It's more of an art piece than a video game. He prefers creative input and no commitment. Yeah. He wants the easy job. Can I upload it to Steam? Yes and no. I mean, the games that I've made so far are free, and there's $100 tax to upload a video game to Steam, so I feel it's in my best interests to not upload those games to Steam, unfortunately. You are helping out, yes. I do not unappreciate the helping out. But this game will carry a fee. This game will be a published media. This game will be a private property with which I can garner some kind of monetary gain from, and it almost certainly will be launched on Steam. Just not putting the hours in. Yeah. Look at this little scully boy. I'm really happy with how the skeleton turned out. Might need a little bit of extra detail, a little bit of extra tweaking. Like, this has got some nice detail around the jackway. And I like the extra details. I don't know if I do some like variations on the skeletons with like a helmet or something. Anyway, I got distracted. Yeah, so this game probably will be on Steam. And if it does okay on Steam, it might go onto the Epic Game Store. Probably won't go onto these 2 game stores because it's not published by these 2 companies, who shall not be named for reasons. And it probably won't go on the PS because it's Unreal Engine 5 is, you do want credit, you can list you as Cube Slabman. Cube Slabman. God damn it. Henry Block. How do we feel about Apple trying to ban Unreal Engine from their platforms? I don't care. I'm pretty sure Tainted Fate doesn't care either. Neither of us have iPhones, and neither of us have Apple Macs. I don't like Apple anyway. It's not really an issue for me. Also, Apple can self-destruct for all you care. There you go. Boom. Neither of us like Apple, apparently. I appreciate that they have a widely accepted Unix platform that has large software publishers that will help support creative professionals. It's their business. It is their business. It is exactly their business. Also, if you know, no iPhone? Damn, you have an iPhone? Damn. There's only one feature of the iPhone that I really want. It has LiDAR scanning on the iPhone 6 and up. And that's cool for doing like the photogrammetry or motion capture. But beyond that, I don't like the iOS. It's not something that I would use every day. Worm Juice? With a party of 7 rating? Hi. We were just talking about the controversy of Apple suing Epic Games. Also, it's interesting to note that lawsuit did actually come to fruition. They have closed that lawsuit. It came to be that Apple would not limit payment providers on their platform, as that was what do you call it? They deemed it some kind of monopolization law, anti-competition law maybe. But they also deemed that Epic Games were liable to pay Apple the fees that they were meant to be paying Apple. So it worked out both, but neither company won. Both company lost. Don't get baited into Apple politics. No, absolutely not. Don't get baited into anything Apple does. Hey everyone, if you're interested in slamming Apple, showing Apple the middle finger, and fixing Apple products on the side, you should check out Louis Rossmann. And thank you, SportsBetter2, for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Hope you enjoy it here. Let me just get some SOs here. There's an SO for you, Worm. Go follow Worm. He's a cool Unreal Engine game dev. He does Unreal Engine game dev. And I gotta get an SO for Rossmann Group. I'm not confident I spelled that correctly. I mean, I'm confident I spelled his name correctly, but I think he has a different username to his name. Is it Rossmann Repair or something? No, it is Rossmann Group. I was right. Internet Historian had a fantastic video on the iPhone. Nice. I've scrolled away from it as well. Rossmann Group. Why am I so bad at remembering things? But back to game dev. Absolutely back to game dev. Yeah, it'd be nice to have an iPhone because they have a cool link feature that you can use the iPhone as an internet-based webcam. It would free up a USB slot in the PC, and I could have a second mocap device. It's all because of the gambling. It is not actually because of the gambling. There's no gambling in the Epic Games thing. There are microtransactions, but no gambling. It was for the purchase of V-Bucks, and you could buy V-Bucks using your credit card. You could circumvent Apple's payment system, which meant that Epic Games weren't paying any after-sales subsidiaries to Apple, and Apple were angry about not getting even more money, even though their company is worth $2 trillion. Seems kind of like the pot calling the kettle black there, but you know, you write a contract, you sign a contract, you agree to payments. That's kind of the thing. But as well, Epic were being charged more tax on upfront sales in the marketplace, and that was bad. And back to game dev. Before I actually forget what the hell I was doing, we have our CBP combat handler. We've got some Boolean logic. Don't you just... Hey, Worm, do you like Boolean logic? Tim wasn't trying to pay the 30%. He wanted to post a redirect link to a different payment, and Apple doesn't allow that. Yeah, and the Judge Supreme said that that was illegal, that Apple has to allow that, because otherwise, Boolean logic equals sweet. Yeah, check this out. So we're setting the octave index based on the index that we're placing into the temporary Yeah, Tim won, but now he's banned from all Apple products. RIP Fortnite. Ah. Who's Tim? You know Tim Cook is the guy who runs Apple, right? Tim Cook? Tim Sweeney. Owner of Fortnite? Owner of the physical owner of Fortnite. Wasn't Fortnite owned by Epic Games? Yeah, Tim Cook is the owner of Apple. You can't say Tim won when it's Tim v Tim. Come on, man. That's confusing. Tim Sweeney, Epic Games, my bad. It's the same company, though, I guess. That's fair logic. That's fair meme logic. I'll give you that. But yeah, Tim Cook, Tim Sweeney. Why are they all going to be called Tim? Very confusing. One of you got to change your name. It's Apple's loss. It is Apple's loss, absolutely. If you deplatform a brand that big from your platform, even if you weren't getting the lion's share of the payments, now 0% of, 30% of zero is zero. So, and it's not like the iPhone is a gaming device. Anyway, so we have this Boolean logic which takes the current index we're working with, the temp index, the last index ostensibly, the last object we put in, You think Apple cares about Fortnite? The game is dying. I think that is buyer's remorse. Wasn't at the time. I think Fortnite, even in its twilight, will be making more money than most other mobile video games. Just a thought. It's very popular with the kids. Anyway, so we have the last index that we placed into the temporary initiative, and if that is greater than the last index of the combat scene actors, we know we're in the first octave. If it's greater than 2 times the last index of the combat scene actors, we know we're in the second octave. And if that's greater than 3 times the last index of the combat scene actors, we know we're in the 4th octave. Did I label those right? And if it's smaller than even the temporary initiative, then we know we're in the 0th octave. Yeah, I did label that wrong. And those are all added together as ones. And that gives us our octave index that we work with. Ultimately, Apple wanted more cash dollar, and Epic said no. Apple did what they do best and said, "You can't be at my birthday party." That's what they do. They have the finance funds to do that, but at the same time, it's not a good way to make more money. If you wanted to make more money, if you understand what I mean, you know, you gotta grease the palm of industry. You know, you gotta give a little to get a little. Anyway, we have a second one here, which combines input pin 2 and input pin 3 as a select node to select the octave value and the turn adjustment value from the combat actor reference. Easy things that we can get things that are easy. And we add those together and we get our turn time for the sorting algorithm. This is part of that. This is the event graph. We don't need that. We don't need the spawn enemy. We don't need the spawn deployment. We don't need the initialized variables. Done all that. Sort initiative is where the rubber meets the road, I think. Can't believe that's a macro. That's interesting. So sort initiative, our array comes in and we set clone initiative to be that array. So when you set an array to be in another array in C++, I'm pretty sure that doesn't work. I'm pretty sure there's some weird stuff that happens and it tells you to fuck off home. But in Unreal, this will just clone the array, basically, which is good, because that's what we want. that's how you would expect that to work. And that's good. So while the clone initiative's length is greater than 0, because we take off indices from the clone array as we sort it, right? We put them into the temp initiative, and then the temp initiative becomes the pattern for the new initiative model. So while this is going, we have the octave index selector, which we just talked through, and that goes in here. Turn adjustment is the turn adjustment index. I thought kind of getting a bit dry. I don't want to drink the cold coffee. It's gross. It's not very. I made a mistake getting this. It's not the nicest coffee I've had. It's not bad, but every sip just reminds me of the first cup I had. Fills me with dread and caffeine. Anyway, and we get the find smallest array, find smallest turn time in the array, which will give us the turn octave and the turn adjustment indices, which we'll go through here, and we'll grab the relevant values from the combat actor, which we talked about, from the array in which is the clone array. And then we set the current turn time to be the 0th index, and then we set the current turn index to be the 0th index, just because that's the start of the work to be done. And then we do a for each, and we go through and we find the smallest index. When it's done, we did not connect this. Converts an int to a bool. Good. Right, okay. So I'm actually gonna re-reference that from a new pin. 1, because I think it's safer to do that, and 2, because I'm gonna put this into a big old macro. So this is going to check if we are at a point where we can exit this loop and increment the turn adjustment index. So the turn adjustment index has to fly free. Don't get you wrong, you hate Fortnite possibly as much. I think Fortnite's fun. He's just saying that he doesn't like Fortnite because he was hyped for Unreal 4. Unreal 4? Unreal 4? Unreal 4. But they realized how popular Fortnite was. They realized how much money they could make from Fortnite, and they decided that they were going to bench Unreal 4 development until Fortnite came out. And then halfway through the development of Fortnite, they decided that they were going to stop Unreal development altogether, and they were going to open source Unreal, and they were going to focus all their efforts on Fortnite. And they still didn't fix the 4-player cooperative mode. I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't played in a while. But like, that used to be paid for content, the 4-player cooperative. There was a pre-order for it. What happened about that? You know, Tim Sweeney regrets suing Apple and Google. Tim Sweeney epic status. I'm glad. He really wants Fortnite back in the Apple Store. Well, sure, it's a bigger target audience. It's a non-benefit for both parties, right? Apple doesn't get Epic money, and Epic doesn't get the Apple market share of gamers, quote-unquote gamers. Well, if you have an Apple phone, are you really a gamer? And we know true gamers get the Razer phone. Funny joke? Was it funny enough? Was it a bit too toxic? I don't know. It's hard. Coming up with jokes on the fly, it's hard. Tainted Fate doesn't really care. Tainted Fate wants the Unreal 4 on the phone. I'm going to make this into a macro. So when the temporary initiative moduloed by the combat scene actors indices, so if this has reached the point, the last index of this will equal 0, and we've done all the processing already. This is the exit point. So when this equals 0, it'll be false, and when it equals false, that means that we can increment the turn adjustment index, provided that we do not have to sort this flippity do. No, it's fine. No, it's fine. No, it's fine. Because is it fine? Is it fine? No. My avatar hasn't broken. That's the exact position I'm in right now. This isn't fine. A fly that comes up with jokes is even harder. This in isolation is fine. Oh my god! It's Sami Mochitsuki. Yokoso. Welcome. Everyone, how do I do a shout out on this channel? Sami Mochitsuki is also an Unreal Engine developer working on Unreal Engine 5, making a cool bakery farming baking simulator. Go check him out. And welcome. Hello. I'm going to collapse that to a macro, and I never want to look at it again. I do want to name it though. So this is an interesting conundrum that I've been placed with. So this you'll be back. You just got to pop out. That's fine. As long as I don't turn around and you stood behind me again. That was scary. I'm starting to feel like I could probably complete El Shaddai in 6 hours, but I'd miss all the secrets. Not this time, thank God. What do we want to call this? New macro. Branch macro. This is going to be a boolean to see if we can increment the turn adjustment index, and this is probably going to get refactored into the ground. This is... Am I British? I am British, unfortunately. What do I want to call this? Turn adjustment index. Increment. Why is spelling so difficult? I hate you. English language. Switch. Because it is a switch. It's a button that tells us if we can. Thumbs up. Yes. Turn adjustment index incremented between 0 and 4. So that will be between 0 and 3. 4 will equal 0. Oh, will 4 equal 0? 4 will equal 0, but that means it will set it to 0. So the next one will be 1. That's fine. That's fine, yes. But this is also not fine. There's going to be some more logic to this, isn't there? There's going to be some nightmare spaghetti. Because if we have to sort this halfway through a turn, we can't do this, because this will be in the wrong position. This will be in the wrong position. This is tricky. This is difficult. Whoever said whoever said making video games was easy, they didn't know what they were saying. And it's not really something I can test until it's fully built. And it will seem to work on the surface of it. Like if you only do the rearrangement of the thing every octave. So this system will allow a resort every octave, basically. Good resort every octave, but also won't be able to do any resorting in between turns, which makes me sad. That's not what I want. But there's no way really to identify which octave you're in outside of that. It can't. Oh, this is so confusing. How does ATB work? The active time battle is a battle format heavily associated with Square Enix's Final Fantasy franchise. Battle system was initially built as an alternative to the traditional turn-based system, as many times prior to its development. ATB characters don't always active turn ratio 1 to 1, but instead act is determined by a charge time. An ATB gauge fills up over time. Once filled, may act either attacking or casting spells. Taking action then causes the gauge to empty. The cycle repeats itself until the battle ends. One unique aspect of the active time battle system is the constant flow of time, even when the combat menus. This often allows us some unique encounters, such as bosses that have weak points only become exposed at certain points in the battle, requiring the player to time their attacks. It also tends to create constant pressure to inform actions in a timely manner, adding tensions to the battles. No. ATB design system was designed by Hiroyuki Ito following the development of Final Fantasy IV for the SNES. Time gauges for each party member were added in Final Fantasy V, but the system still gave the impression of being turn-based. Gauges filled one block at a time. More fluid motion was introduced by Final Fantasy VI. ATB became the system of choice for then Squaresoft's trio of PlayStation era Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9 RPGs have evolved. Many developers, including Square Enix, have moved away from traditional ATB. Final Fantasy X used the conditional turn-based battle system, and although ATB returned to Final Fantasy 12 and 13, they played a lot differently due to gambits and paradigm systems. Final Fantasy 13 was just an absolute... Do not like the combat system. Let's just say that. Oh, can I see that image, please? I do not remember Final Fantasy X looking like this. But look how far it goes into the future. Look at how far it goes into the future. Even if it doesn't take up the full right-hand side of the screen. Okay, granted. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that looks like it's about half. It's been a long time since I played Final Fantasy X, alright? Big breaks give to me. R2, and you can scroll down. But that's already 4 full turns. And we have, look, time gauges right here next to the... Time gauges next to the things. Whoa! Whoa, what's going on here? Here we go. While battle systems similar to CTB exist under the term conditional turn-based, has only been used in reference to Final Fantasy X. The CTB system is similar to the active time battle system. The other squares. Play members and enemies will have their turn order decided based on specific stats. However, action taken by a character will determine how soon they take their next action. For example, Final Fantasy X using an item will result in a sooner turn than using a powerful overdrive ability. In addition, magic effects such as haste and slow will affect the character's time between action. Yes. Yes, that's exactly what I wanted. Game appearances. Digimon Cyber Sleuth Omega Quintet, Sengoku Hime 2, Senran no Yo, Gunyu Arashi no Gotoku, Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor, okay, Legend of Wukong, Manakemiya, Artelenico, god damn it, Xenosaga Episode 3, and 1 and 2, oh, but only for the DS, and Grandia 3, okay. First appearance, Tactics Ogre, Let Us Sing Together, oh, Cling Together, okay. Yeah, this is what I want. Who coded this? No, it doesn't say who coded this. Unfun. How does CTB work? Turn based. I didn't read anything, did I? Toshiro Tsuchida. Okay. There he is, this cool dude, right here. Very cool dude. In a jacket. Born in 1964. Produced some games. He left Square Enix on the release of Final Fantasy 13 along with several other staff members. He's not participated in the events and interviews leading up to the release of the game. Oh, cool. He worked on 10, 11, and 13. Oh, no. Is making Final Fantasy a nightmare? What? Does he have a Twitter? Maybe I can bug him. Hey, I need you for consulting right now. Friend, help. Top. Does not have a Twitter account, no. Or if he does, it's not under his name. Good, clever man. Anyway, yeah, how does it work though? How do I code? Conditional turn-based battle system is the battle system of Dimensions 2 and Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. What the hell? How to code a conditional turn-based battle. I was wondering how you go back and play something like this, but I'm actually unsure of the underlying mechanics for a system like this. The battle system turn queue 10 or so turns in the future, subject to change with move lag and make certain actions decrease your location in the queue. So logically, every unit has a speed. At the start of the battle, you can sort them all by seed and check them into the queue lists. The first question lies. These queues often predict move turns you have characters, so while it's trivial to sort the 8 characters participating in the battle between your units and the enemies, when inside slot 9 and 10, the turn counter contained, you double the speed of every unit, simulating a whole round has passed and check the 2 fastest in those 2 spots. Seems like it's problematic and assumes that there's a round system in the CTB to begin with, which I'm fairly sure there isn't. After that, when it's time for a unit to make a move, how do they get chucked back into the right position in the queue? I know certain moves have a value that make your next turn come slower and faster than usual, and show how concrete this is. Say a character has 300 speed, performs a move that adds something or make her moves 50% slower, it's like 150 speed. Only assume you simply don't chuck her into the queue position in front of whoever's slower than 150. What kind of algorithm handles the event correct placement of this character? This is exactly what I wanted, yes. What I did in the past, having 2 lists, a queue or a list and a bookmark. One list is essential, as is the abstract turn order. You update this every time something changes. Unit dies, spawn, buff, debuffs, affecting turn order. Then you have a queue or some other structure containing your actual movement list for only the actual turn. And this doesn't change unless your game design says so. Last, you have the fill. Assuming your UI has 10 slots and your actual queue has 7 slots, you have to take the first 3 slots from the first list. The abstract order, doing so for any modern CPU takes really no time, so you can do this even in real time if you want to, or an event change. Pick from your actual queue, and when it's empty, you transfer your abstract list order into a new queue, rinse and repeat. What? Can I make a queue? I mean, a queue is essentially just an array, right? It's got different access handlers and it's slightly different memory speed. It's faster, but you don't get fast random access, right? The only objects in a queue you get fast random access to is the first one. Roughly every character has a turn point variable and it's initialized based on the character initiative value. Maybe the speed stats. Let's say you initialize the turn counter to a number between 1 and 1000 for every character, put them in a list and sort them. 2, 400, 500, 2, 400, 500, 400 plus 250, 260. Now every action has a cost based on your speed. Basic attack 100 speed costs 500 turn points. You can use this to estimate what the new queue will be if everyone takes basic attack. Let's assume enemies have a speed of 200, player only has 100. Player A 200, enemy 400, 500, 400 plus 250 is 650, 200 plus 500 is 700, 500 plus 250 is 750. Now player A can actually take their turn since everything is all set up. They cast haste, which has an additional cost of 700 but doubles the speed for future actions. This puts player A's turn count at 900 and he's reinserted into the list. Big slime. You'll probably end it here and call it a day. For a game with persistent turns that never reset, you would add an extra check anytime all characters' turn points are over 1000, subtract 1000 from everyone's turn points. This keeps it at a reasonable number and so you don't hit overflows or anything. When this 1000 point reduction ticks, you can consider that a round and trigger status effects or something. What? Nice. I'm getting distracted here. This is a helpful thread. Hold up there, sunshine. This is gonna suck, isn't it? prune this. What am I doing? I was getting pretty close, I think, to the ultimate answer. Oh my OBS, please. OBS, please. I just want to put my cursor here. Save as G dish. Now, is my Reddit button gonna work? Reddit button. Is my Trello button gonna work? I'm gonna assume my Trello button did not work, and it's so haunted. I've got the worst Trello on my PC ever. Sorry, this is a bit of a weird time, but this is genuinely like a mind-boggling experience for me. Notes. Is this notes? Yeah, sure. Combat flow. CTB. A thread. We can attachment computer. It's on the G drive. Should just be a text. There it is. Beautiful. Read this a few times and it will unlock brain level 2. Change cover. Should it be blue or purple? We'll stick with blue. Now, I'm really meant to be doing more work on this every day than I am right now, but what more can I do? That's very stressful. I feel like if I force myself to do something, it's not going to be productive. I'm not going to do anything useful. I'm just going to mess around with like Magica-Voxel or something. So what they're saying is, if you go back over to Paint, what they're saying is they have one array of, you know, whoever's, these are this quote unquote turn that's this turn of stuff, and then they have a projected array however long it needs to be, which is basically just hokum. Nothing about this array is correct, quote unquote. So this array has basically just normal turn times in it, right? So these are the current turn, actual times, and these are future turn predicted times. Fake news. And this is fine. This works. It fills up a UI and it's roughly helpful. But it doesn't make me happy, because this is a wild compromise. So this closes the door. This where's my cursor? This right here closes the door to having multiple turns per round, multiple rounds per turn. That makes me sad, because like one of the coolest things is speed boosting your own party and delaying the enemies to a point at which you get 2 turns in a row back to back. That's so cool. That feels so good. And I feel like I'll be honest with you, I feel like a hidden ATB gauge might be the way to go. Hidden ATB gauge. Oh my days! Like I just refactored the array. It doesn't make me happy. It doesn't make me happy. No, I mean it's obviously the way it's gonna go. Because if we have a hidden ATB gauge, oops, whatever. It doesn't need to be sorted, right? You just, you know, your ATB timer counts up. On tick. And then if, oh, huge slam. So on tick, the ATB timer counts up, and then it checks to see if there's anything it's exceeded. Oh, we do need to sort this, I guess. Oh. No. No, no thank you, Scrafter. Get banned. Out of here. No, no, no. Can I? Whatever. Yeah, so if we sort the list of combatants by, hold on. If we sort the list of combatants by their raw speed, by their raw turn time, right? Yeah. So, you know, we get 900, 1200, 1600, 4000. Oh, this could work. I don't know how we do an offset here, but this could work. So like once we reached this lad's turn, right, he'd go, his timer would go to 0, right? But then his time would get set to 900 after his turn, and then we'd have 300. This is the exact same diagram that I was drawing like a minute ago. 500 and what's that? 3,500. This could be workable. Right. Wrong, right, wrong. The hidden ATB gauge. We have on the combat actor, we have a turn adjustment. And the turn adjustment can just be manipulated by functions willy-nilly. So it'll get reset by external means, right? So if you cast a spell that's haste, say you cast haste, say you go in fast, you drink an energy drink, whatever, your turn adjustment will be affected by the energy drink. The energy drink will just perpetuate it, and after you've had so many turns, the turn adjustment will get reset to won't get reset to 0. It will get reset to the turn adjustment minus whatever the turn adjustment was from the thing that affected it, right? And there'll be code for that we can work out later. That's not relevant for this, but we can also have an ATB adjustment. An ATB adjustment which will allow us to have multiple turns in the same turn roster, like this, right? So yeah. Yeah. Tricky. Yes, no. No, yes, no. I don't want to put a loop on the ATB. I really want to do as little on tick as possible. But this is looking promising. This is looking like a promising solution. Excuse me. So the projected would be cursor alpha beta delta alpha would be 1-800 which would be 600 0 200 3 200 and then 400 1,000 not 1,000 700 700 0 3,000 and then yeah, alpha beta delta alpha another one 0 300 1,600 minus 1,200 to 600 beta alpha delta omega. So that would come up with a pretty cool it's gonna have to It's gonna have to do a loop though, isn't it? But I like this. I like this is more understandable, I think, to me. It's easier to implement in Unreal because for some reason Unreal just likes it. Unreal just likes it like that. I think this is good. I think this is what we're gonna go with. I think maybe. Oh yeah, how do we get to the projected initiative? Right. How do you get to the projected initiative without just simulating it? It's a ratio, right? It's a ratio. A ratio to what? The slowest thing in the tub? So here we have 900 to 1200 to 1600 to 4000 ratio, right? Okay, so that's 40, 16, 12, 9. 9 only goes into 3, 12 goes into 3, 16 does not go into 3. I don't think 16 goes into 3. Yeah, no, it doesn't. Yeah, that's the lowest common denominator we got there. Could have picked some better numbers, but oh, 150. Nope. No, that's arcsine. Thank you. I did not want arcsine. Very sensitive. Oh, hello. Nope. That's 10 and a sixth. 2/3. Sorry. What's wrong with you? And that's 26 and 2/3. Okay, never mind. 9, 12, 16, 40. How to solve polyrhythmic calculator. I don't want to count them. You can calculate a polyrhythm. Mile high shred. Is polyrhythm the wrong word to search for this with? How do you solve ratios? How do you solve multiple ratios? Multi-step ratio problems. Not a clue. Let's get our numbers up again. So 900, 1200, 1600, and 4000, right? So we're looking for all the numbers in between here. This is one step. So 1600, 3200, 4800. But that would come here after this. So that's fine. So we're actually looking for all the numbers up to here. Anyway, 2400, 3600, 4800 prime. 4800 prime. Get out. 900, 1800, 2700, 3600 prime, and 4500. So these come after, so we can just bound those, and we obviously have our first turn 900, 1200, 1600, and then our second turn we have 1800, 2400, 32, no, 20. We're into 27 now. 2700, 32, 3200. I'm so confused. 3200, and then we would have 3600 prime, 3600. Is that right? And then we would have 4000. How would a computer fucking decide that? This is so confusing. No, it's fine. Kind of. You see, when you deal with something as slow as 4000 as turn time, that's like epic boss scale, right? But it messes up with the ratios towards the bottom of the predicted turn timer. If you just use an average, if you just use the average turn time approximation, it will eventually get to a point where it's displaying the boss's turn earlier than it should at the bottom of the list. You know, so if you have really fast people and you only have 4 octaves calculated, I guess you just calculate octaves until it stops. You just calculate octaves until until it equals 4000, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we would have to calculate the 5th octave. I don't want to call them octaves. They're not really octaves, but hey, it's the word we're sticking with now because it makes sense. It's a turn away from itself, right? It's not 8 semitones, but it's close enough. Anyway, I think that's gonna be it for now. I'm not even gonna start trying to implement this. This is ridiculous. What I will do though is I'll go and I will build and I will come back and I will upload a little demo version of this, because I know I was meant to do this before Christmas. I didn't do it before Christmas. It feels bad, and I feel like I've left y'all out in the snow. But I won't have it in the demo area, ironically, because it's a trash heap, and I really don't like that level. It was wild and stuff. I'll add a signpost to the test area, and then I'll upload the test area as the demo level. It'll have the main menu, so you can change your graphics options. That'll be fun. But I have noticed that baking things, cooking projects in Unreal Engine 5 is quite hefty. It doesn't do it very quickly, so it will take probably upwards of an hour to do that. And I don't want you to just be sat looking at a progress bar for an hour, and you don't want to be sat looking at a progress bar for an hour, and I don't really want to have to chew through this numerical obstacle right now again, because it's quite difficult. It's quite meaty. But yeah, I think I'll do that. Hey, Mistfire Knight, how you doing, buddy? What time is it? Oh yeah, I don't know if you're into that kind of thing, but I know I showed this on stream earlier, but I gotta show it on stream again. Everyone has one of those mugs. Don't worry about it. I got the hat. Do you know about this? Do you know about this thing? Do you know about this thing? Do you know about? What do you know about? It's a brocade. It's not a circular saw. It's a brocade. Look at it. Look. Anyway, I got that. It's beautiful. 2:30 a.m. What a great time for it to be. I was just wrapping up. If you have a friend that you want to raid, well, I should do my talk out actually. Yeah, and then we will find someone to actually raid. So thank you everyone for coming to watch the live video. Thanks for coming to watch the video on demand. Thank you Sports Betor 2 with an O for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Hope you enjoy it here. Thanks Worm Juice Dev for the raid, and thanks everyone for coming and hanging out and chilling out and pointing me towards the right direction. Yeah, good night, Mr. Mistfire. And as always, I will see you in the next episode.